Hi guys, I'm just gonna press play on this. Sorry, I need to just sort my hair out, but let's have a look. Let's get it up. Let's press play. All right, 1 sec.
She never really made excuses for herself or her behavior. She just kind of told it like it was. And I always felt a measure of sadness for Lisa because when I would watch Lisa talk, she had, again, that just measure of sadness emoting from her. Her mom wasn't really excited to be pregnant. According to Lisa, she was more concerned about gaining weight. Priscilla was more concerned about getting fat and big in pregnancy. And Lisa Marie just said, quote, "I was a pain in her ass immediately, and I always felt like she didn't want me," end quote. So why are you fighting Riley, the granddaughter of your ex-husband? Why is Priscilla carrying on, in my mind, like a widow and not the ex-wife that she is? Riley is actually the blood relative. Riley is part of the Elvis Presley dynasty, just like Lisa was, not Priscilla. And they're suing Priscilla for a breach of contract. They're suing her for fraud. How apt, right? Because she sued Elvis for fraud in 1973. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jennifer. If you are new, welcome. I am so happy to have you. Today, we are going to take care of business, my friend. TCB, that was Elvis's motto, taking care of business, baby. And I think we need to take care of business because this is crazy. In this video, I want to talk about Elvis's legacy. I want to talk about all the crazy headlines surrounding Elvis's ex-wife, Priscilla Presley, who divorced Elvis way back in 1973. I want to talk about Lisa Marie, who is Priscilla and Elvis's only daughter, who tragically died in January 2023. I want to get into all of it. And this story is kind of big. There's a lot of moving parts. So I just wanted to just unpack and break a lot of this down for you in kind of bite-sized chunks so you can maybe follow along a little more easily. Because if you just started just looking into the headlines and the lawsuits and the accusations and things, it gets a little muddy, it gets a little crazy. So let's just kind of start from the beginning. So what I want to tell you guys first off is I have been a diehard Elvis fan since I've been 13 years old. Now I was only 3 when he passed away in August 1977. I remember my mom telling me the story. She's cleaning house, she hears over the radio that Elvis passes, and then she starts crying. So Elvis has always been beloved in our house. But when I was 13, it was the 10th anniversary of Elvis's passing, and at that time it was just pretty much Elvis mania everywhere. It was like a revival of everything Elvis, and I was old enough to really start getting into it. I watched TV shows about him, I read books about him, I bought magazines about him, I started getting into my mom's old record collection, really listening to the songs. A lot of the songs I remembered from when I was young, but then I was even listening to more and more songs that I had never even heard of, his entire music catalog, and I was just completely overwhelmed, not just by how handsome and charismatic and magnetic he was, but just how unbelievably kind and talented the man was. He was the king of rock and roll, okay? I've been to Graceland twice. First time I took my mom as a special trip, just her and I. The second time I took my kids, they were 9. They also love Elvis and his music. So Elvis in our house has always been a family affair. And I was really devastated hearing that Lisa Marie Presley had passed in 2023. Like her dad, she had struggled through a lot of troubled relationships and a lot of sadness and loneliness in her life. And it seems like the Presley legacy was always one of early death and tragedy. Elvis famously lost his own mother, Gladys Presley, when she was just 42 years old, so she was very young. Elvis passed at the tender age of 42 himself, and they all had troubled lives and troubled pasts, so it was just really sad to know that she had passed so soon and so tragically. Now,
Right, guys. Okay, I played that a little bit faster because that was just the intro. So I'm going to go back to normal speed, if that's possible. Is this going to let me do it? Normal. Okay. So I wanted to have a bit of a laid back, just a chilled half hour. I stumbled on this. I think a couple of people have sent it me. Jennifer C. She's got a great channel, 20,000 subscribers. She says, no, she's just told us she is an Elvis fan, which I like that. I find if they are Elvis fans, hopefully they'll be more open with their views. Not everyone is, as we recently found out. But I don't want to do loads of talking. I want to just relax with Team Elvis and just chill out and listen to Jennifer. Now, remember, she's obviously a younger girl, isn't she? I'm not sure how old she is. I think, is she around 40-ish? Yeah. But she does, her views are pretty good. She's done a lot of research. I don't agree. She does seem to think that Priscilla is the reason Graceland was saved and the museum was opened. She does seem to think Priscilla is the reason for the success of of Graceland and Elvis Presley Enterprises. She isn't. I do agree. Once Priscilla got involved, she jumped on the bandwagon. She did make a difference. She did make some big decisions. Yeah. So I agree with that. But I will never give Priscilla credit for the success of the Living Museum, for the success of Graceland's, the Elvis Presley Enterprises. She just jumped on the bandwagon and took credit for everything. But really, there was a team of people that were involved with Elvis Presley Enterprises, setting it all up. Even the restructuring of Graceland, the opening of the Living Museum, in 1982. There were a lot of people involved in that process, even before Priscilla came along. Yeah, their plans had been drawn up. You had Memphis City, you had the banks, Morgan Maxfield, Jack Sodden. There was a lot of people involved with the launching of Graceland. In fact, Priscilla wasn't even at the opening day of Graceland. She was there at the press launching. We've all seen it on YouTube. So she is wrong about that. Yeah, about trying to give Priscilla credit for the success of EPE and Graceland. I don't agree with that. But generally, this young girl, Jennifer, she's pretty switched on. She covers many, many different things. This is a long video. If you want to learn a lot quickly, if you don't know anything about what's gone on in the last 40 years, you're going to learn a lot now. Everything she talks about, I already know about. Yeah. But I just think for somebody who's looking for a lesson in what's gone on concerning Elvis, Priscilla, Lisa Marie, Elvis Presley Enterprises, the lawsuits, Bridget Cruz, the lawsuits, the elder abuse, what went on with Priscilla when she went against her own daughter's wishes for the amendment after Lisa Marie died, all that kind of stuff. This girl sums it all up pretty good. So I will jump in whenever I think she's a bit wrong. Remember, I'm no expert. I'm not an Elvis expert. I'm not a researcher. I'm just a fan. So if I get my facts wrong, please put me right. Please put it in the comments when I'm wrong. Okay. Let's listen to Jennifer, and thanks for joining us.
Growing up, I had read Priscilla Presley's 1985 autobiography chronicling her life with Elvis called Elvis and Me. And I had always had the idea of Priscilla being the real defender of Elvis and the Presley legacy. And, she was an actress on Dallas, I remember, in the 80s. She was in the Naked Gun movie with Leslie Nielsen. She had a lot of projects going on in her own career as well. But first and foremost, she was the one that single-handedly turned Graceland into the national American treasure that it is today.
I definitely don't agree with that. Jennifer, you're wrong. No offense. I mean that in a friendly way. You're completely wrong, but let's keep going.
Graceland is the second most visited house in the United States, just following the White House. So Graceland is a really big deal. So she was the staunch defender of Elvis and his
No, she wasn't. No. Sorry, no. But let's keep going.
His legacy, and she basically turned everything around.
No, she didn't. No, this is wrong, Jennifer, but we'll keep going.
After Vernon Presley's death in 1979, when the Elvis estate was basically in debt.
Well, there's strong opinions, guys, what went on behind the scenes. Vernon Presley was very unwell. Yeah. It was imminent. He had very serious heart problems. No one really knows what went on. But there was a decision made at some point by Vernon, probably about, I don't actually know the exact time period, leading up to his death, where he decides he has to make Priscilla Presley the co-trustee, which basically gives her almighty power, because she was Lisa Marie's mum, and he did feel that who's going to look out for Lisa Marie's interest better than her own mother, okay? So that's how I see it.
And she strove and struggled to not only preserve Elvis's legacy, but, keep it going for
No, she was grabbing money. She saw an opportunity to get very wealthy. Let's keep going.
generations to come. And to Priscilla's credit, she did do that.
No,
Now, thinking about Lisa Marie,
she didn't. She took advantage of it.
I had always grown up looking at Lisa Marie, first of all, a carbon copy of her father. Anybody that looks at Lisa Marie's face sees Elvis. She is a carbon copy of her father.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
And I always felt that she was just like him in emotional temperament. Elvis was a very vulnerable, very soft-spoken, charismatic person. He wasn't a braggart. Everyone that knew him said that he was the most generous, kind soul you ever want to meet. Of course, he had problems, but at his heart, he was all about family and he was all about love and really protecting and cherishing his family and the people that he loved. And Lisa was like him in so many ways. And I really felt watching interviews with Lisa and seeing her speak, I always felt her father emanating from her. She was very honest, and what you saw was what you got. She never put on airs. She never tried to, in a gross way, try to capitalize on her father or her legacy. She just always came across to me as a very, very straight shooter. And she was very, very blunt and plain and forthcoming about a lot of her own struggles in her life. She had often talked about her addictions. She had talked about growing up with her mother after her father's death and how they had a really strained and troubled relationship.
So I want to just throw something in, guys. When they use the word addiction, yeah, we got to remember that Lisa Marie, like her father Elvis, had health problems. She had health problems. She had pain. Yeah. So it isn't as simple as she was a druggie. She was an addict. There's more to it, but let's keep going.
But, she never really made excuses for herself or her behavior. She just kind of told it like it was. And I always felt a measure of sadness for Lisa because when I would watch Lisa talk, she had, again, that just measure of sadness emoting from her. And I know where that came from. That comes from losing a parent at a really, really young age. Lisa Marie was 9 years old when her father tragically passed away at Graceland, and Lisa Marie was there when her father passed. So I always felt a really deep sadness coming from Lisa when she would discuss her father, because she really was a daddy's girl. And the reason why I can know and understand and recognize that is because my mom was a daddy's girl, and she tragically lost her own father to lung cancer when she was 8 years old. And to hear my mom tell me about how that deeply affected her, it's an understatement. It basically colored her entire life and left a huge hole in her heart, a longing that only her dad could ever fill. And, one day he was gone. So I would watch Lisa and I would see that, and I would
I like that. I agree with that.
understand that, and I could see what she was going through. The following clip is from a 2005 documentary called Elvis by the Presleys. In this clip, Lisa Marie talks about the first few days after she lost her father on August 16th, 1977. It gets me every single time.
His body was
So guys, give this girl a chance, Jennifer. I actually quite like this review. I've watched quite a lot of it. Give her a chance, guys.
in the house for 3 days, and there was something very oddly comforting about that, which made it not necessarily real for me. As I stayed in there with it almost the whole time. We can stop.
So I was very, very sad to hear of Lisa Marie's passing, but I was also a little bit happy that at the very tail end of her life, everyone was celebrating the 2022 Baz Luhrmann film Elvis, starring Austin Butler. It was nominated for Golden Globes and Academy Awards, and Lisa had gone on record and was even in interviews with Austin talking about the movie, celebrating Austin and his performance. There is one one interview in particular where it's her and Austin sitting in the famous jungle room at Graceland, and you can visibly see Lisa getting so worked up and emotional with Austin sitting next to her. Lisa Marie talks about, there was this project. She had no idea what it was going to be. She had no idea how her father was going to be portrayed. She had no idea where Baz was going to take this movie. And so in this interview, Lisa's basically saying, I was sitting there white knuckling it because I was just petrified about what are they going to do? How are they going to discuss my father? How are they going to portray his legacy? What am I in for? And then she says that, halfway during the movie, she could just finally breathe and settle because she really felt like Austin was channeling her father, but in the most authentic and loving way possible. And you could just almost see it was a healing thing for Lisa. And, she hugs Austin and she embraces.
I agree, guys. Lisa absolutely loved the Baz Luhrmann's film. She loved Austin Butler. She loved she loved everything about it. It was a very happy time for her.
Him and Austin saying, that is the greatest endorsement I could ever get, to have Elvis's daughter sit here and tell me that she's proud of my performance, she's proud of me, and for her to take comfort and love in that, knowing that so many people still loved and just wanted to preserve the legacy of her dad. Lisa Marie was in the audience at the Golden Globes in 2023 watching Austin Butler accept the Best Actor award for Elvis, and she was just so proud, and I'm just really happy that she got to experience that moment. But
yeah, well said, guys. It was a very happy time for her just before she passes.
Tragically, we all know what happened a few days after that. She tragically died of cardiac arrest in a hospital. It was just a terrible, terrible thing. It came out in July 2023 that her official cause of death was from a small bowel obstruction from a previous surgery, but she initially went into cardiac arrest after collapsing at home in January 2023. So yeah, I always looked at Lisa as a really beautiful and somewhat lonely and troubled soul.
So guys, I'm just quickly letting everyone know that we're live.
She did have a little bit of a weird past. Back in 1994, I was 20 years old, and I remember watching MTV News and finding out that she had married Michael Jackson, out of nowhere. No one saw that one coming. We all thought.
I'm not going to lie, when I first saw it, that she was marrying Michael Jackson, I was shocked. I was surprised. It was hard for me to imagine Lisa Marie, a stunning, beautiful young lady, with Michael Jackson. I just found that such an odd mix. But, it's pretty obvious now that they had some very happy times.
Thought that was pretty crazy. She was married to him for only 20 months. And so many people, would say stuff like that was a marriage for publicity. Maybe she was doing it to kind of rebel against her mom, because even back then she was having difficulties, all kinds of difficulties with her relationship with Priscilla. She didn't even tell her mom that she married Michael Jackson. And Michael Jackson was her second marriage. Lisa Marie was married 4 times in her life. So she was first married to Danny Keough, and that's who she had her children Benjamin and Riley with. That was the first marriage. Then she married Michael Jackson in 1994, and apparently back in the day she went on the Oprah Winfrey Show with her mom Priscilla, and Priscilla basically disclosed that Lisa Marie didn't tell Priscilla about the marriage to Michael Jackson. Priscilla heard about it on the news just like everyone else. So
I think this story that Priscilla tells has changed. Yeah, so she had one version where what she just mentions now, where Priscilla didn't know anything about it. But then on interviews and in the book, it's a different story.
What does that tell you? But anyway, we will get into that. So, Lisa Marie wasn't without her own share of controversy as well. Lisa was a very loyal individual and kept very good relationships with her first husband and with Michael up until his death, even though I don't know if they were super, super close. But again, she did speak fondly of him after his death. And after she was married and divorced from Michael Jackson, she pretty much stayed out of the limelight for quite a bit. She was married to Nicolas Cage for like a brief wink, but for the most part, she never really had her face and her story out in the press and in the public like so many celebrities do. She wasn't really into feeding the PR machine. Like I said, that's what I really liked about her. Just, a straight shooter, wasn't there to leech off her father's legacy.
Well, you know, Riley Keough has always said that Lisa didn't like fame. She didn't like all the attention.
She was just a woman raising her kids, and she also released her first album back in 2003. First single that she released from that album called Lights Out, but it is a really great song. I thought Lisa Marie was immensely underrated. She was crazy talented. She had a really good voice. It was really gritty and it was really raw. Lisa had one of those voices.
She was a rock chick. Come on, guys. She was a rock chick.
This is where when you heard her sing, you knew exactly who it was. She kind of reminded me of a Stevie Nicks in that way. When you hear a Stevie Nicks song, you know it's Stevie, right? Stevie doesn't sound like anybody else, just like Lisa Marie, in my opinion, did not sound like anyone else. I'm a little bit sad that Lisa Marie never experienced as big of a measure of success that she was going for with her music, but something tells me that, you know, she was fine with it. I'm sure she was. She released several albums over her lifetime. I have 2 of them. I thought that they were really good. I really felt like she talked about and lived out the experience that she had with her dad through her music. That song Lights Out that I'm gonna link in the description, and if you have not heard it, you need to go watch that video, because you watch her sing, and first of all, again, carbon copy of Elvis. I mean,
I agree, guys. See, this is why I like Jennifer. This is a really good review, guys.
face, moves, everything, but the gritty realness, the rawness of her voice is there, and the lyrics are just insane. They are so deep and they're just full of longing and emotion. And in the song, she says, "Someone turned the lights out there in Memphis. That's where my family is buried and gone. Last time I was there, I noticed a space there next to them in Memphis in the damn back lawns." So she's talking about, you know, every time she's at Graceland and she goes to visit her family, they're all there. They're all buried there. Her grandparents, Gladys and Vernon, her dad. And when she wrote those lyrics back in the early 2000s, she is talking about that space that's left for her there in Memphis so that she can be buried with her family at Graceland. And then can you imagine when her son Benjamin committed suicide in 2020, he's now buried there, how much more poignant those lyrics had to have been for Lisa. It's just, it's crazy. I'm almost feeling like I'm gonna tear up a little thinking about it. But yeah, just a lonely, troubled, deep, yet honest and kind soul. I always felt that and got that about Lisa. So before we move on from Lisa and talk about Priscilla, Lisa Marie wanted to write an autobiography about her life, and in 2022 she approached her daughter, asking her daughter to help her finish it, and just a few months later she was dead. So Riley took on the task of finishing her mother's massive memoir that she had, all her notes, and she finished it for her mom. The book was released in the fall of 2024, and in this book Lisa chronicles her really troubled relationship with her mom. She talks about how she really felt that her mom did not have any maternal instincts at all. For example, when her mother was pregnant, her mom wasn't really excited to be pregnant. According to Lisa, she was more concerned about gaining weight. Priscilla was more concerned about getting fat and big in pregnancy. And Lisa
See, this is interesting, guys.
Marie just said, quote, "I was a pain in her ass immediately, and I always felt like she didn't
She felt unloved,
want me," end quote.
unwanted.
And also, to be fair, by all accounts, she does say that, you know, she was a difficult child, especially after Elvis passed. And, you know, she really felt like the only way her mom could maybe get a handle on her was being so unbelievably strict. And it was just really, they were always butting heads the entire time that she was a teenager. But apparently in
I always, you know, obviously she may not, she might bring it up now, but come on, guys, she was a troubled teenager. She had a bloody good reason. She was torn away from her dad by Priscilla because Priscilla wanted to run off with Mike Stone. Yeah. And then the other boyfriend, Michael Edwards, is secretly sexually abusing her, allegedly. Just alleged, just an opinion. So I'm not surprised she was a troubled teenager.
2006, they started to repair the bonds in their relationship and started to get closer. So fast forward to 2016, and Lisa Marie Presley is in a bitter divorce battle with her then husband, Michael Lockwood. Apparently, Lisa Marie had found some disturbing images on Michael Lockwood's computer involving children. And while she was
So we're all a bit unsure about this, aren't we, guys? You know, this situation with Michael Lockwood. It's not a topic I like to cover. I do know about it. I know some details. You know, it's Finley and Harper's dad, so I'm a little bit careful about that topic.
embroiled in this divorce battle, she was trying to, I guess, gather evidence, and she was obviously fighting this battle with him. Now, there was an investigation following Lisa Marie's allegations against Michael Lockwood, and there was found no supporting evidence to substantiate Lisa Marie's claims. But regardless, because of what had happened between Lisa Marie and Priscilla, because Priscilla had refused to sign a deposition against Michael, Lisa Marie and Priscilla's relationship once again became troubled and became fractured. That book was called From Here to the Great Unknown, and there's even more disturbing
They had a lot of times where they didn't talk, guys.
stuff coming out of it. Lisa Marie claimed that she was molested by Priscilla's boyfriend at the time when she was living with her.
It's not a claim, guys, is it? If Lisa Marie put it in her book, it ain't a claim, is it? We have to say it's alleged.
Mom. His name was Mike Edwards, and I've got an article pulled up here from the New York Post, and it says after.
And Michael Edwards admitted it in his book. Whoa! Let's get it. Remember, he admitted it. He said it in his book. Let's keep going.
After the death of her dad, Elvis Presley, in 1977, Lisa Marie moved full-time to Los Angeles to live with her mom, whom she had a tumultuous relationship with throughout her life. And she alleges in the book, From Here to the Great Unknown, that Priscilla's boyfriend, Michael Edwards, came into her room in the middle of the night and, quote, this is in the article, ran his finger up her leg, okay? And he said he was going to teach.
This is pretty disgusting. Pretty disgusting, guys.
Teach me what was going to happen when I got older. She was 10 years old at the time. And she says, quote, this is Lisa, he was putting his hand on my chest and saying, a man's going to touch me here and there. And he put his hand between my legs and he said, they're going to touch you there. And I think he gently kissed me and then left that night.
Disgusting. Disgusting.
End quote. And that's crazy enough. So the article continues. She allegedly told her mom the next day, recalling in the book how Priscilla, quote, flew into her room and.
We've got like 100 on messaging, like 150 people here to join us. It's funny, isn't it? But this is hard to listen to, guys.
Slammed the door. Eventually, she called me in and said that Edwards wanted to apologize. And apparently, according to the book, Edwards was apologizing, saying, you know, oh, I'm sorry. That is what they do in Europe to kind of like.
Disgusting. And it seems that Priscilla turned a blind eye to all of it.
Like teach kids or something. Whatever that's supposed to mean. And then Lisa Marie further claims in the book that the alleged abuse didn't stop there, that it continued for several years. Hey, I needed to pop in here into the video before we continue with it because I should have mentioned a little bit earlier that Priscilla Presley has recently released another autobiographical book.
Ugh, autobiographical. A trash book of lies.
It's a follow-up to her 1985 autobiography, Elvis and Me. And this new book is called Softly as I Leave You, and it's supposed to be a continuation of her first book, Elvis and Me. In this new one, she's chronicling her life.
It's bullshit.
After Elvis's death, and she's talking about her journey of self-discovery, her career, motherhood. She's talking about how she built Elvis Presley Enterprises, and she's also discussing events surrounding Lisa Marie's untimely death in 2023. And it's really interesting because there are critical reviews of this book that are coming out. Reviewers are saying that it's overly cautious and it's a really self-protective kind of narcissistic narrative, basically talking about how they feel like it's Priscilla's direct attempt on damage control because she needs to answer a lot of the claims that Lisa Marie put forth in her From Here to the Great Unknown.
So, come on, guys. You know, whereas my wife's been moving all my books around, but come on, guys. It is damaged imitation. The book From Here to the Great Unknown exposed Priscilla, and we know, if I've had so many reviews now of that book, of Softly as I Leave You. I've read a lot of it. It's not truthful. It's almost like Priscilla got all the facts, threw them up in the air, and started again. It literally, that is how it feels. Okay, guys, it's crazy, the lot.
And it's really interesting because, for example, the Washington Post is talking about this book saying, quote, "It's written by someone whose desire to keep up appearances has won out over her desire to be known." So all very interesting about how this new memoir of Priscilla's is now being received. But let's get back to the video. So in this current book that Priscilla is writing, she's offering a little bit of a conflicting narrative. On one hand, she's acknowledging it and saying that, you know, it was like a terrible thing that happened. But then at the same time, she's also saying that she really feels that, you know, Lisa never really came to her when it was happening to tell her what was going on.
Bullshit. I've read that part. She plays it down. She belittles it. She makes excuses. She also gets the age wrong because, as far as we know, she was possibly being sexually abused from age 10. I think Priscilla makes the age much older, doesn't she? In the book Softly as I Leave You.
Just really weird that, I guess, apparently even after that initial confrontation when Lisa told her mother what was going on, Priscilla confronts this man and then he kind of offers this weird half-hearted apology that Priscilla still felt conflicted about it. And she's saying in her new book, Priscilla, that, you know, she didn't really understand Lisa's allegations at the time and they didn't make sense to her because she never really felt like her daughter never said anything up to that point. And then now reading Lisa's words in Lisa's own autobiography, she feels, you know, conflicted and she's struggling with it because she never really heard the whole story until after Lisa has passed.
Bullshit, she knew.
So she's never going to get closure because of that. According to Lisa in her book.
You know, you got to remember, Jennifer is, you know, she's a fan, but I always say this, there's brainwashing that has been going on for 40 years. So part of that is ingrained in us, isn't it? It's like part of who we've become. So there is a little bit of brainwashing here going on with Jennifer, you know, conditioning, yeah. But the more you research, the more you start realizing that there's a lot of bullshit that's gone on with Priscilla.
Look, that this abuse continued. This abuse continued. He would spank her and do all this kind of weird stuff. So it's just all
definitely weird.
Really weird to me. And it's compounded by the fact that in 1988, he wrote a book of his own and it was called Elvis, Priscilla, and Me. And in that book, he talks about the fact how he had a sexual attraction to Lisa. And Priscilla herself said,
because he's a weirdo, he's a sicko,
that when she read that, she was sickened by what he wrote. I don't understand why he wasn't kicked out of the house.
The fact that she's trying to act as if she didn't realize it until she read the book years later. It's just such a load of bullshit. Does anyone believe it?
When Lisa Marie first said something, that first instance seems like very weird, odd parenting to me, especially when you're the sole parent that is left after Elvis is gone. So that's just crazy. None of this really makes sense to me. I don't really understand what Priscilla is talking about in this newest memoir of hers, because if you look at what Lisa's writing, it seems to ring more true to me.
I like it. See, this is why I like this review. This girl's not silly.
She's the child. She's not the adult. She's not the one in charge. As a parent, I can personally say if I was in Priscilla's position, that man would have been out of the house immediately. No ifs, ands, or buts.
In it, yeah? So, you know, remember, Priscilla was responsible. She was there to protect Lisa, to keep Lisa safe. She took Lisa away from her father, yeah? She didn't.
About it, like gone, absolutely gone. The police would have been called, okay? But to have Lisa allege that the abuse continued, it continued. He would do weird stuff like spank her butt until she was black and blue.
He should be in prison. He should be jailed. He should be questioned by the police. So should Priscilla. They're both responsible. Priscilla Presley and Michael Edwards are both...
And apparently, according to...
both responsible for what happened to poor Lisa Marie when she was a child between the ages of 10 and 14. Michael Edwards has got away with it. He has got away with it. I have no idea why. Even when this book came out, yeah, I think it was it 86, 89, 1989. When it came out, he should have been arrested then. He's made excuses. He's done, even his daughter has done a press release saying that it never happened. It's all bullshit. We believe Lisa.
Lisa, she would show Priscilla the bruises. And then what's even more weird is that once the book was published, Lisa's book in 2024, that this Mike Edwards has come out and he said, quote, that I'm in shock, that's untrue. I was like a father to Lisa Marie. And he also had claimed that no one called him from the book's publishing company for comment. And he's alleging that, Lisa wasn't stable during that period. Lisa's a 10-year-old kid that just lost her father. What are you talking about? It's not like she's a 47-year-old woman or something. That
See, this is why I like Jennifer, guys. Yeah, Pete subscribed to this girl. She was 10. Priscilla is talking about Lisa as if she had to deal with her own problem. Yeah, she's a bloody little kid that has been dragged away from her dad. Her dad's died. She's had to put up with different boyfriends. Priscilla's lifestyle. Priscilla putting herself first. Her career, her modeling, her movie making, her TV stuff, her business life. Promoting product, traveling. Priscilla loved traveling. She liked to party. There's even rumors alleged she liked cocaine, and there were sex parties. So come on, guys. What is going on here?
Is drug-addled and unstable. I thought that in of itself was a really weird comment to say about a 10-year-old girl. But notice the man didn't sue, right? He's just coming out and saying that, oh, that's untrue and I'm in shock and I can't believe it. And he's never molested Lisa Marie. And he said, quote, I'm shocked at the suggestion that I did. And I was encouraged to embellish a harmless anecdote about Lisa Marie in my memoir from the 80s and now regret that I did. I understand that these stories sell books, but the notion that I molested Lisa Marie is just a fabrication. Well, what is he talking about there? Well, let me tell you what he's talking about there, because apparently in 1988, according to this page 6 article that I have up, it says Edward wrote how he was craving Lisa sexually. He wrote,
here goes, guys. Now, I've read this out before. It's pretty disgusting, guys.
Where Priscilla and I had once been inseparable, it was now Lisa and I who were together almost every day. Soon I found I was looking at my watch, waiting for Lisa's school to let out, just as Elvis had once eagerly awaited Priscilla's return to Graceland from school each day. In his book, Edward says, once when Priscilla and I were sitting at the dinner table and Lisa was sitting between us, Lisa got up to get something from the refrigerator and her bare knee accidentally brushed against my hand.
He's a sicko. He is a sicko. She was 10.
It sent waves of desire through me. I looked at Priscilla and thought, can't you see what's happening? I've fallen in love with your daughter. Edwards was with Priscilla for 7 years, from 1977 until 1984. And their relationship, according to Lisa Marie, was full of violence. So something tells me that there were a lot of situations, in my humble opinion, there were a lot of situations that ensued after that initial confrontation when Lisa Marie first told Priscilla about this. So as you can see, hearing all these stories, listening to all these types of things, Priscilla's name in the news more and more, all this kind of stuff, made me think that she's probably releasing this book now because as Priscilla gets older, I don't think she wants her legacy damaged by anything, least of all her daughter. And her daughter...
Yeah, see, I've got a theory that Priscilla... well, let me just pray. I'll come back and tell you guys. 1 second.
Can't really speak now except through the words of her autobiography and in past interviews and things that we know that happened between her and Priscilla. But her daughter can't really speak and defend herself anymore. So Priscilla, in my personal opinion, feels that she is going to preserve and protect her own legacy. And she's going to now speak out and try to be in defense of some of these claims that came from Lisa Marie in her book. So that was Lisa. That was Lisa's perspective. You know, Lisa chronicling her feelings about her dad and her life and her feelings about her mom and her relationship with her mom and all that. But now moving on from Lisa, talking about Priscilla, okay? I have always liked Priscilla. I have always thought she was a beautiful woman, a very smart, savvy businesswoman. She basically just took Elvis's legacy, made sure it was preserved, turned Graceland into the massive success.
Right, 1 second. I had to go and sort my son out. Priscilla, this is my theory. She wants time to be frozen. So say you have a happy time of Elvis and Priscilla where everything was great. Yeah. She wants the whole world to think that was her life. Yeah. Her and Elvis, perfect relationship, no arguments, everyone's happy, no unfaithfulness. That is the con. We know that the truth is very different. We know the truth is that everything was a mess. The marriage was a sham. There was some pretty disgusting things going on. And everything has been warped and twisted in favor of poor Priscilla the victim. And the book Elvis and Me is all part of that scam. It's a scam. It's a con. Yeah. And do you know what? She's got away with it. Priscilla has got away with this scam, this massive con. And she's still getting away with it now. And the release of the book, Softly As I Leave You, is part of the con. It's carrying the con on. The difference this time is there are cracks showing. There are cracks showing.
It is now, Elvis died in 1977, and when he passed, Vernon Presley was in charge. He was the official trustee. And after Vernon passed in 1979, that's when Priscilla really came into her own and took the helm of Elvis Presley Enterprises. And when I say Elvis Presley Enterprises, she's the one that started it in 1979, because when Elvis died, he didn't have a whole heck of a lot of money. There were debts, there were things that needed to be taken care of. She wanted to preserve Graceland.
Guys, this is obviously that's her research, but it's different than this. There's much more to it than this. And I understand these people, Jennifer, automatically they want to say that, how can I say it, that Priscilla saved the day, yeah? That everything, Elvis is remembered because of Priscilla, and that Priscilla saved Elvis's legacy, and it was because of her the museum wasn't sold off, and blah. It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. But I do understand how Jennifer, her research will come up with that and will give Priscilla credit for everything. It's bullshit. Priscilla did not save the day. She has twisted the story to suit herself.
She never wanted it to be out of the Presley family name. And in 1982,
she wanted money.
She opened the doors of Grace.
No, she didn't. No, it was already happening. It was already being planned. Memphis City and Morgan Maxfield and Jack Sodden and the banks, they were all getting ready to create this living museum to preserve Graceland. Graceland was never going to get sold off or broken up. But yes, there was a hint that Memphis City may purchase it. They were trying to purchase Gracelands, yeah, but it still would have been preserved. It still would have been a living museum. The plans had already been drawn up for the whole thing. Vernon and Colonel Tom Parker and other people were already planning it. So no, Priscilla is not the saviour of the day. I know that Priscilla wants us all to believe everything is because of her. Everything good concerning Elvis is because of Priscilla. It isn't, guys. It's a con.
And formally to the public. So amazing success, right? So then fast forward to 1993, and Lisa Marie turns 25. And it is then officially that she becomes head of the entire estate, the entire Elvis Presley estate. Lisa Marie is now in charge. But in the subsequent years, Lisa Marie was encountering a lot of her own financial struggle.
Again, this is all part of how we're not being told the truth. Yeah. Now, I don't doubt that Lisa Marie had spending, situations coming up, but there's so much more to it. There was a lot happening behind Lisa Marie's back concerning Priscilla and the people she was doing deals with. There's so much more to it. We're given the impression that it was just Lisa Marie was spending millions and wasting loads of money, and then we get the marriages thrown in our faces and all the rest of it, yeah? There is much more to it. Priscilla is much more heavily involved in the wrongdoing of the finances, the money, than we are told, guys. So, obviously it's an opinion for entertainment purposes, just alleged, not a fact. I have to say that. But everyone wants to blame Lisa Marie for the financial situation, but there's much more to it. Don't believe everything you hear.
You know, marriages, divorces, addictions, different things going on in her life. So in
You know, she keeps talking addictions, but Lisa was sick as well. Lisa had serious health problems.
February of 2005, she ended up selling 85% of the.
Now remember, she's now going to go on to talk about the deal where Robert Silliman, the billionaire, purchases 85% of Elvis Presley Enterprises. Okay, but I'm telling you guys, there was some serious shit going on here. People try and say that it was Lisa that sold it off, blah blah blah. But there's much more to it. This is part of Bridget Cruz's lawsuit, and you know, guys, you know that it's Bridget Cruz that is suing Priscilla. There was some serious wrongdoing going on here behind the scenes. Remember, allegedly, Priscilla received a very large amount of money, between $6.5 million and $13 million, to encourage, allegedly, the deal to go through with Robert Silliman when they sold 85% of Elvis Presley Enterprises. Remember, they also rented Graceland's, the building, Elvis's home, to Elvis Presley Enterprises, Robert Silliman. Yeah? And the rent was paid in advance. There was, I think it was a 90-year lease or a 99-year lease. The rent, it was a one-off payment of rent, which is just crazy. Yeah. And yes, they had to keep up the upkeep of the grounds and of the museum and artifacts and Gracelands and, you know, all the land around Gracelands. But I'm telling you guys, this is just my opinion. Priscilla encouraged the deal to go through. I don't think it ever should have happened. They should never have sold off 85% of Elvis Presley Enterprises. At the very best, it should have been 51% in favor of Lisa Marie. Yeah. So I personally believe, this is just my opinion, that Priscilla encouraged Lisa to agree to this sale. Yeah. I also think this, if you look at the book, From Here to the Great Unknown, there's a period where Lisa Marie talks about how Priscilla got on very well with Lisa Marie at the time of the signing of this deal. I repeat, Lisa Marie talks about at the time of the signing of this deal going through, that Priscilla was extremely nice to Lisa. Yeah. So guys, I'm worried about the whole thing. I personally, just an opinion for entertainment purposes, think that the whole EPE deal, there's something very wrong here in the way that Lisa was encouraged to go along with it. And the fact that Gracelands was even rented to EPE, and the fact it was 85%, that's way too much in favor of Robert Silliman. I don't trust the whole deal, and 100%, you know, just an opinion, Priscilla got a massive backhander. Just my opinion, guys.
Interest of Elvis Presley Enterprises, and she sold it to an investor by the name of Robert Silliman for a reported $100 million. And she used some of that money to repay some of the debts that she owned. But
which is what we're told. Yeah, but there's more to it. You look at Bridget Cruz's lawsuit, the things that she is alleging. There's much more to it, guys.
Was able to retain 15% ownership of Elvis Presley Enterprises, and she was also able to maintain Elvis's beloved Graceland home. So that still remained in her charge and in her care, and all the personal effects inside Graceland's private memorabilia still remained in control by Lisa. But
okay, guys, we're going to have to stop and start because we're getting on to an hour now. I don't want to have this I want to put this on 2 shows, okay? So I'm just going to play for a couple more minutes and then we're going to stop and start, okay?
What was sold was all the images and likeness and music, the catalog, everything around Elvis. That is what was sold in that deal. But now getting back to Priscilla. So now...
Right, okay. So we know where we are there. So guys, I'm going to stop and start. No gap. Just stop and start, okay? Let's do it now, guys. There's no gap. I'm just going to stop and restart and we're going to carry on. Okay, guys? Thanks for joining me. It's bloody interesting. Jennifer is excellent. I've really enjoyed this. we're learning a lot fast. A lot of what she's saying we already know, but I still find it